Terry McGill in Portland, Oregon, coming to you wherever you are in the world. And this is the first Who's Your Neighbor show of the new year, 2023, January the 3rd, Tuesday night. And I've got my sweater on because it's a little chilly here in Portland. I want to tell you just a thumbnail sketch. What's Who's Your Neighbor mean? Well, when COVID hit the world about 2 years ago, I soon began to be aware, reading, I'm watching Facebook a lot because I'm not going anywhere. And the stories, excuse me, the stories are about people being either too connected because there's a couple that are better off separated for 8 or 10 hours a day. They were suddenly together too much. And then there were others who lost their connection and needed it. And so this is about inclusion. Who's your neighbor? Who are our neighbors? Do you know your next door neighbors? I realize that I only know the people on either side of me and one across the street, and a little bit of the family that moved in 2 years ago across on the other corner. And so what I did was I started reaching out to people that I've known who do business, small businesses. And the big ones, you know, they're going to do what they do, but the small ones needed our help more. And so I started interviewing them. I said, you know, would you, spend 30, 40 minutes talking to me on, Facebook Live and on YouTube? And that's what this show is about. Connection, inclusion. The people, and you may look back through the archives, I'll bet you have never heard of any of the, I forget how many there are, 38, 68, I lose track. There's a bunch of shows, and, you won't know hardly any of them, if any. And that's the purpose. There's a group of us, I don't do this by myself, and we wanted to bring your awareness to what other people are doing. Tonight, for example, is I started to say a unique person, but no, she's really not. But she's outstanding. Come from another country, being a woman of color, coming to the United States and being successful in 5 different industries. How do you do that? And what's she doing now? To help your sister, yourself if you're female, but I'm not going to tell any more about Linda. So I'm asking our producer now to bring Linda on here with me. Linda, hello. And just so everybody that's watching is noticing, we have some kind of a really unique, it is, I've never seen this before. Linda is delayed by 5, 6, 7 seconds in hearing what I'm saying, and also therefore in responding. So we'll just live with it. If you watch the YouTube recording, you probably won't notice anything except some pauses. So Linda, hello, welcome.
Thank you for having me on the show, Terry. This is such a delight. What a way to start the new year, by connecting with neighbors and people from all over the world to come together as one, to connect and find out who the other person is. So thank you for having me.
Speaking of all over the world, you're not from the United States. Would you share just a little bit about your background? How many languages you speak? I only speak one, so I'm envious.
I am half German, half Nigerian, loving all Asian, and living in America. I speak 3 languages. I have lived on 3 continents. And like Terry mentioned earlier on, I have worked in 5 different industries and actually excelled in those 5 industries. That makes it a very eclectic background, and it's one that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. It's beautiful that I was able to experience all of that. Thank you.
So you've faced a lot of challenges, not just being mixed nationality, but being a woman of color and coming and into the United States. And now you're using all of your background and share with us what you're getting ready to offer to the public.
Um, being as a young girl, my experience was that I never quite fit in. Um, being of my color in behind the Iron Curtain in Eastern Germany was very unique. There were not many Black people in those days, I can tell you that. At that time, my father was a student going for his PhD, and I often had to spend time in his student hostel with him. And so I saw a few people of color at that time, but on the street, you didn't find them. And so I always kind of felt out of place. And then when I left Germany to move to Africa, where I am from, I didn't quite fit in there either because look at my color. Most Africans don't look like me, except maybe in the northern half, the nomads, the Egyptians, and the people from that more. But most of Africa doesn't look like me. And so when I was in my country, which is Nigeria, I also felt an outcast. I felt like an outsider, right? But the beautiful thing is that my vision, my inner vision, was very unique in that I saw people don't often see. And I was able to pick up on things that other people missed entirely. Even in this country, when I left Nigeria all on my own. My parents did not know, nobody really knew that I was leaving the country because I felt they knew they would try to stop me. And my soul felt a very strong pull to be independent, to make my own mark in the world. I couldn't rely on anyone else to do that for me. And so, but unlike many people, many immigrants, I didn't have a hunger to come to America to have a better life. For me, it was more of a spiritual anchor, a calling that I couldn't resist. I had grown up in Germany, so being in the European Western world was nothing fanciful for me at all. But I also knew that this was a trip that I had to make on my own. And so when I came to the US, I was literally all alone. I had somebody that I dated, that didn't work out, as heaven's guidance sometimes just brings you to the brink of all that you know so that you can discover how you can fly with or how you can walk on groundless ground. And being an immigrant allowed me to walk on groundless ground, depending on miracles, depending on the kindness of people, depending on heaven's intervention to bring me to the brink of the next life. So it's been a very fascinating, sometimes trying experience, but all of that created a very rich tapestry of experiences and skills that have allowed me to grow and in the years since I came here.
So you've taken your experience and your passion and you've put a program together. Would you tell us about that?
Yes, thank you for asking, Terry. In 2009, I met a very unique I'm going to give a little bit of a background why meeting this human being monumentally changed my life. When I was a very young girl in Africa, uh, I came across a book. It's very rare that in Africa you come across a book that was spiritually inclined, and most especially that was talking about Tibet, of all places in the world. Uh, in my part of the world, in Nigeria, we don't have bookstores like in here, right? But I visit someone's home, and in this person's home, some point in time, I was feeling bored. I had to find something to do with my energy. So I started looking through boxes that were hidden underneath the bed, on top of the cabinet, on top of the wardrobe, everywhere else. We didn't have cell phones in those days, so I didn't have a cell phone to keep myself busy, right? So I started getting busy. I started looking for things to do. And I opened up the box and I saw a book about a Tibetan monk. Long story short, one of the books described a situation where the monk who started his life as a very young boy, he was brought to the monastery as a very young child. He was trained by a healing monk. And this, when he grew up, he was at an age where he was now fully grown and he had trained from a master. And at that time, China was invading Tibet. And so all the monks had to gather their sacred texts to take them to higher ground. And some of them were fighting their lives, literally. And so this healing monk was on the war front fighting invading Chinese army, and another monk was in dire need of help. This other monk, his legs were blown off. One of his legs was blown off by a shrapnel. And so this healing monk decided, while bullets were flying overhead and fighting was going on, he decided to offer the most compassionate act I've ever experienced. Even now I'm seeing it, I'm getting goosebumps. He decided to leave the war that was being fought all around him and painlessly, with hypnosis, amputate the limbs of the guy who was dying to save his life. That touched me profoundly and changed my life forever, because I realized, wow, one, that he could hypnotize him so that he felt no during the amputation process. And he was able to keep himself grounded enough while bullets were flying overhead to perform that kind of high-level surgery on someone else. And of course, because I read his book, I fell in love with him as a healer. And the meditative process of monks that go to chant every day, that eat the same meal every single day of the year, that have very few people that come to see them because they're in meditation all the time. So fast forward many years later, I mean, I had many other minor pointers in this direction, but in 2009, I met a profound, amazing human being called Dr. Zhigang Sha. I met him in a bookstore. Book on me. His book. I was walking out of the bookstore, and out of the 1 millionth corner of my right eye, I remember very well. His book was standing there, and I turned, and my life has never been the same. Promised myself that I was not going to buy another book, but that day I took the book, put it on my heart, and asked God, okay, I promised myself I was not going to do any damage to the budget, because I love books. And so I took the book and put it on my heart. I asked God, I said, God, what is this book going to show me that I don't already know? Because I read a lot of books. And instantly, I was transported a scenery where I was being driven in a car. And there was somebody in the driver's seat. I don't know who that person was. But we were driving on a bumpy road. Like, I've lived in a third world country. I know bumpy roads. Some bumpy roads are big enough to take a whole car, right? But we're driving on a very bumpy road. And within a few seconds, we came on what would easily seem 15 or 20 lane highway. It was beautiful. The cars were whizzing by. There was no traffic. It was almost like the cars were choreographed by divine, by God or the universe. It was just beautiful and smooth. And then I came back. I was brought back into the bookstore, and I looked around. I thought, what happened? Where did I go? Long story short, I took the book home, and my life has never been the same. That gentleman is the one that I met in physical form just a few months later. When I read that book, I said, I have to meet this guy. I have to find him. I tracked him down online, and I was able to discover that he had a workshop. And I went to that workshop. And it has been beautiful. It has been uplifting. It has been enlightening. It has been inspiring. It has allowed me to look into myself to see what can I do to make the world a better place, because he showed me how he serves. And that is the long story that I wanted to share with you.
So now you've taken everything that you've ever experienced and you're offering workshops for women?
Yes, I am. Because the wisdom that he has given me has allowed me to understand, one, why I had to go through those difficult experiences as an immigrant, as a Black girl in Germany, as a not so Black girl in Africa, as an immigrant here in America, and as a minority, as a woman. There's so many aspects of my life where I was a minority, not quite fully accepted by everyone else. And not the part that I forgot to mention was that when I was growing up as a young girl, father prefer to have boys. It's a well-known fact for many people in the West, in third world countries, boys are more valued than girls. So I grew up with a big hole in my heart because I knew that I was not wanted, or he didn't accept me for who I was. And so I lived all my life from a place of woundedness, like half of myself was missing, because I tried to become the son I was not. And so I became a tomboy, trying to become the son that he wanted me to be. And in doing that, I lost part of myself. So that part has now become whole with the teachings of Dr. and Master Jigang Shah, because I understood, oh, wow, I went through all these things. So I learned what it means to be a woman and what it means to accept myself fully and wholly without any apologies to anybody. In fact, I spoke about this just a few, where I said that accepting silence is not something that I'm going to do anymore. The time is now for me to speak up and to allow a groundswell of women who have been silenced in their own lives in for whatever. For some it is for some it is PTSD. For others it's professional ceiling that hasn't allowed them to go beyond what they've allowed through. For others, it is trauma of any kind. It could be sexual trauma, it could be emotional trauma, it could be physical. Sometimes it is trauma through the words. I know a wonderful lady by the name of Peggy who has written an entire book based on what parents have said to children that have created tremendous trauma in the lives of the children. Just imagine the words that are spoken, cut like a knife, that creates tremendous in the hearts and souls of women all over the globe. And sometimes it's even worse than words that are spoken. Sometimes it's words that are not spoken. Like with my father, he never told me that he loved me. He never let me know that I was loved. And so those missing words are what I craved for all life. I couldn't tell him what I wanted because I knew I wasn't wanted. And so it is this that has prompted me to create a program for women so that who feel silenced and traumatized and victimized and abused and let down and disappointed and abandoned. It's abandonment through all these different aspects of life that I want to hone in on so that people then can become, and the daughters in their lives can become whole. Because when we heal as women, the daughter, the family relatives, the females in our lives can, that they have permission to regain theirs, the oneness that they were actually born with. Thank you.
So we have a flyer for your upcoming workshop, and I'll ask our producer to put it up now. There we go. So Diamond Heart.
This,
So go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say the Diamond Heart is a title that came to me many months ago. And it is because the diamond has so many facets or facets, depending on what part of the world you're from. And we women have so many multidimensional facets that are yearning to be united as one, so that the crystalline nature of who we are can be made manifest, so that the light can shine and everybody can see who we are. This is what we have missing. And actually, the greatest diamond that we all hold within us is our heart. It's not our head. It's not our intellect. It's not our mental capacity. It's not our knowledge. It's the wisdom that our hearts hold. When we access the wisdom in our heart, then we can shine. Then we can blossom. But we first have to unfurl the it's almost like we've covered it with the pain. We've covered the heart because we don't trust anymore. Hurt so many, now we've stopped believing. We have stopped reaching out because our hands have been smacked so many times. And so now it's time for us to rise again and get into the heart space. But many women do not know how to get into that heart space. And so with the wisdom that I have learned from Dr. Shah and my experiences and my expertise from so many different industries, will all come together to co-create a most beautiful program that would nourish women from across the globe. All tribes, all religious backgrounds, all spiritual traditions will gain exceptional wisdom from this workshop. Whether the woman is 10 years old or 12 years old or 65, we all have woundedness simmering in our background. And when we come together women to create a tribe where we can cry together, where we can release these blockages, this imprisonment that has kept us hostage for so many centuries and lifetimes also, we can begin to heal the entire community, one neighbor at a time.
So one of the things that I want to point out for our viewers, if you're watching this and you notice the dates on that workshop, it was January 2023, middle of the month. If you're watching this after that, connect with Linda, and I'll ask our producer to put her Linda's email address up, and you can connect with her. She also, there we go, Linda Iloba at AOL.com. So she also has a Facebook group.
Better still,
Yes.
join the Facebook group. That is the best for all women. Join the Facebook group. Then we can connect, and I can take you to the next stage from there, because I am going to be constantly developing new programs to serve every woman based on the needs that we have, because the group has specific needs, and I'd like to tailor make each program for the needs of the woman in the group at that time. So the Facebook group is the easiest, fastest, best way. The program that I'm going to be launching is going to be on the 14th. That's going to be the introduction to the workshop. Please Facebook group and join there. And then the workshop itself will be on the 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is the New York time zone. So please, I'll be so honored and grateful to connect with all the women all over the globe. Let us join hearts and souls together to co-create a space where we feel safe, where we feel nourished, where we can help each other to heal. Because when we join together as neighbors one to another, we can create a tribe of trusting people where we can open our hearts, feel safe, begin to blossom and grow together, so we all can discover the diamond in our hearts.
One of the things when you speak of I saw the diamond on the flyer, and what I'm reminded of, there's several memes out there about like a diamond is a lump of coal that make good under pressure, and I didn't know when I first heard about it that was how a diamond was formed, and when I think of you, because I've known you for a while now, like years, um, and as I hear more of your story, it's like, wow, um, I don't know, I wouldn't be who I am if I had gone through what you have gone through. And the fact that you can take that and transform it or use it as 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 guidance and help other women who haven't had the I don't know what the words are. I have a sense of it. It's like they haven't got it together enough to take another step maybe. And I know that workshops throughout my life have transformed me, and I'm so pleased to be able to offer this platform so that all of those that are watching, and it doesn't, like Linda said, it does not matter what the date is. If it's past, the end of January of 2000, what are we, 23, day 3, it doesn't matter, because everyone in her Facebook group, she's going to be crafting, molding, creating the next workshop based on who you are, what your needs are. And I know Linda, I know significant pieces of her background and the potency that she'll be able to offer to you. She's damped down her passion on this show right now. So all I can say is connect and allow yourself to transform, guided by someone who's been there, done that. So here we've our producer has put the Facebook group back up, and we'll put it into the chat, the comments and chat section. I'm trying to see. It's very small over there on the right-hand side, but it will be there, and you'll be able to click on it. And also, if that doesn't work for you for some reason, then here's Linda's email address again, and that will be in the chat room also. So, Linda, thank you so much for.
Now,
I know you're in New York.
Me, I want to add, if you email. Sorry, I want to say, if you email me, please kindly put in the subject line, put women's empowerment in the subject line, so that I know what that email is and that it's from a safe place. Otherwise, most likely I wouldn't touch it, I wouldn't open it. So make sure you put women's empowerment in the subject line, so that I know that it's from a safe source. And if you use my telephone, the best thing to do is to text me. I do not receive phone calls from people that I do not know, but if you text me first, then we can connect like that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you.
So there's two different ways that you have to connect with Linda. And
yeah.
What an option. Yeah. Linda, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again. I know I will. Yes. So
thank you.
Thank
you so much.
You're welcome, Linda. So you've had just a half-hour slice of Linda Iloba, currently in, I believe, Washington, D.C. or New York, somewhere back east. Of course, I'm out in the West Coast. Connect with Linda. Wow. If you're feeling blocked, and guys, sorry, you'll have to find some guy. Linda's committed to women's empowerment. So, Linda, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. And for those of you
Thank you.
who, for those of you who don't know, this is an every Tuesday webcast. Who's your neighbor? If you have someone, a small business person you know, who's making a significant difference in the world, and they're not Tony Robbins, they're not the big names that everybody knows, but there's literally 500,000 people who are making big differences. They're unsung heroes and heroines. So send an email to me. It's Terry McGill, spelled right there on the screen, and it's at comcast.net. And let me know who they are. And in the subject line, please put "Who's your neighbor?" And then let me know who you would like to hear or see or offer a platform to be seen by more. And so until next week, I'm Terry McGill. This is Who's Your Neighbor? Thanks for joining.